Hey guys, welcome back. This is the 2018 Giro de San Francisco men's P12. This is a classic NorCal race. It's the 44th edition. This is a big race on everyone's calendar, and it's the classic course. It's been around for a long time. Go over some train tracks that you saw a second ago. A lot of crappy pavement. It's an L shape, and on this section of the course back here you have kind of a gradual hill at the beginning here, with a left to right wind that kind of stops right around here when the buildings block it. But this hill kicks in, and it's not insignificant. Especially we did it 50 times, so it starts to hurt after a while. Towards the top here, it's probably something like 7 or 8%. And then after this right-hander at the top, you have the long back section, which is like a 2, maybe 3% downhill with some more crappy pavement, especially on the right-hand side. And then you have these cones and some curbs on the left that can be dangerous. It can be tight over in this section. And the bottom of this downhill before the 2 right-handers coming into the start-finish, you have really crappy pavement, and you've already carried a bunch of speed. And you see that was the end of my rear camera. The tabs broke on the mount, and there it goes. So fortunately I recovered it, but the camera is now busted. Saved the memory card though. So then you come back onto this start-finish straight, wide road, awesome pavement, headwind this year, and you could feel it. It was pretty significant, and it's probably about 200 meters to the line from here. So important to be top 3 on the last lap. Here's Ariel early on saving a crash on that paint line, and then Anthony Freddy of Main Cycling putting in a big attack to a small group that's up the road, which I'm going to follow. And I'm going to sound like a broken record here, guys, but NorCal Cycling, amateur cycling for that matter, there's really no team control, so you see a trend. There's a lot of attacking like this. People try to join the breakaway. There isn't like one team controlling things at the front, keeping things really fast, discouraging this type of stuff. So when there isn't a group up the road, there's usually attacking until there's a group up the road. And you know, if the field is content with the composition of that group, then things slow down in the group and the breakaway establishes itself. It's kind of how this goes. So we're trying to make sure as a team, there are 4 of us, 5 of us actually, that we're represented. So I'm putting in an attack here to get up the road. The timing was right. We had just caught a smaller move, and that resulted actually in this little group here, which actually it looked really good to me. So I was committed to this breakaway here just because it had the right guys in it. You had Mike's bikes, had Sam, who's really strong here in the zebra-looking kit, and then Chris Coble, obviously, district champion, really strong. So I committed to this. But unfortunately, we were caught, and that's a really important time in a race once a breakaway is caught, because that's oftentimes when the counterattack goes, because you have guys on the front who were caught who had just committed to doing a lot of work in the breakaway, and then you have the guys that were near the front of the peloton who had just committed a lot of energy to chase the breakaway. So if you're a breakaway rider, that's the moment to establish a gap, is passing a bunch of tired riders near the front. And this is me chasing down that group that established a gap because my team wasn't represented in it. But eventually that one was caught too. And choosing the right moves to chase after and work with is a really important skill as a bike racer, because you can't just keep responding to attack after attack. So this really threatening group of 3 gets away with 2 Mike's Bikes riders, and I respond to this bridge attempt, which draws out 2 additional riders, making a group of 4. And we end up getting really close, about 7 seconds or so. You can see them there in the distance. But we just tire out eventually, and there's just not enough firepower in this chase group. And this really hard pull by Gavin breaks things apart, and you can hear my sentiment as the chase group falls apart. And the breakaway just gets further away. We eventually get reabsorbed by the chasing peloton, and then there's a crash. So the breakaway gets even further away. Riders getting dropped, gaps opening up. Just overall a really inconsistent chase effort means the breakaway is successful because they are working really well together up the road. And I'm trying to encourage riders to continue taking pulls on the front. We just need more people working on the front. And Mike's Bikes is doing a good job disrupting that chase effort. You can see a rider there up towards the front, another one here, and they are just trying to slow things down to prevent us from catching the group of 3 up the road, which again has 2 Mike Spikes riders. And my original intention in this race was to sit in, save energy for the field sprint, but it doesn't always go the way you want it to. Here I am again in the rotation, just trying to encourage riders to rotate through, take poles. The breakaway at this point is about 15 to 30 seconds up the road. Really drilling it at the front here, spending a lot of energy just to help try to bring it back. And Mike's did such a good job to disrupt the chase. I mean, it's like they had this net of riders towards the front. And at about this point in the race, I realized that it wasn't coming back, so I kind of fell back and started to save my legs for the finish. Oh, and one thing I wanted to mention is the lap cards were like really hard to see. They were tucked in behind the spectators. They were really small. It seems like a lot of fans had cowbells too, so it was hard to tell like when we were actually approaching one to go. So as we came through the bell lap here, in total honesty, I thought it was 2 laps to go, and I was like totally caught out of position. So I lean over to Jeff here on my left, and I ask him, and so I just immediately punch it, and I'm just determined to get to the front. So check out how I desperately move up to the front here in the last lap. So I was pretty gassed, didn't have much left for this sprint after moving up on that last lap, but it was a lot of fun. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.